When Maya lifted her hand at the auction, a few people laughed right away. The metal container on the ground looked like it had lost a long fight with time. Rust covered the sides like rough orange skin. The paint was faded and peeling. One door sat crooked, and the lock looked stubborn. Most bidders were there for tool sets, engines, and machines that still had shine. Nobody came to spend money on something that looked ready for the scrapyard. Maya stayed calm. She did not smile or argue. She simply watched the auctioneer and listened to the numbers. Her boots were dusty from the repair shop where she worked all day. Her hair was tied back the way she always did when she needed to focus. She looked at the container like it was not trash at all. To her, it was space. Space meant freedom. Freedom meant she could build without asking anyone to move their things or give her a corner. The auctioneer called out the price again. Nobody raised a hand. A man near the front joked that the container was so rusty it might fall apart before it reached the road. More laughter followed. Someone said Maya must be bidding by mistake. Another voice said she would regret it the moment she saw the inside. Maya raised her hand one more time, steady and sure. The hammer dropped. The container was hers. The laughter became louder for a moment, then it turned into whispers and shaking heads. A few people looked at her like she was stubborn in the wrong way. Maya thanked the auction clerk, signed the papers, and walked out without looking back. She had been laughed at before. She had learned that the best reply was to keep moving. Maya worked at a small auto repair shop on the edge of town. The shop was busy, loud, and tight. There was always a line of cars. There were always tools sitting where they should not be. The owner was not cruel, but he was careful with money and space. He let Maya work there because she was skilled, fast, and honest. Still, she was always borrowing room. If she needed to take apart something big, she had to wait for others to finish. If she needed quiet time to build something new, she had to do it late, when everyone wanted to go home. 4 years, she saved. She said no to small comforts. She packed her lunches. She bought used parts and cleaned them until they looked new. She fixed old engines for people who could not afford new ones. She did side jobs on weekends. She did not complain, but she also did not stop dreaming. Her dream was simple. She wanted a place that belonged to her. A place where she could build, test, and create without being treated like a guest. She did not want a fancy building with glass walls. She wanted a strong space that she could shape with her own hands. The rusty container was the first real step. 2 days later, a truck pulled into a small empty lot on the edge of town. Maya had rented the lot with most of her savings. The ground was uneven, and weeds grew along the fence. It was not pretty, but it was quiet. It was far enough from the busy streets, and close enough for her to reach after work. The truck driver lowered the container with a loud clank. The sound echoed off nearby buildings. People turned to look. A few workers from a tire shop across the street walked out to watch. Someone pointed and said, in a teasing voice, that Maya had brought home a giant rusty box. Maya thanked the driver and waited until the truck left. Then she walked up to the container and touched the door. The metal felt cold and rough. She slid the key into the lock, pushed, and pulled until the door finally opened. Inside, the air smelled like old oil and wet metal. Light came through small holes in the walls. The floor had stains and dirt. There were scraps of wire, broken straps, and pieces of wood that looked like they had been there for years. In the corner, she found an old tarp stuck to the floor. It came up with a ripping sound. For a moment, Maya simply stood there. The place was worse than it looked on the outside. If she had been afraid of hard work, she would have turned around right then. But Maya did not feel fear. She felt a strange kind of calm. She could already picture what it could become. That evening, she started cleaning. She wore gloves and a mask. She pulled out trash and stacked it outside. She swept the floor until the dust stopped rising. She wiped the walls and scraped rust. Her arms grew tired, but she did not stop. When the sun went down, She turned on a portable light and kept going. Across the street, a few people watched. They expected her to quit after an hour. They expected her to get frustrated and walk away. But she worked until her shoulders ached and her hands were sore. When she finally stepped out, she looked back at the container and nodded like she was greeting a teammate. The next day, she returned after work. Then the next. Then the next. Her routine became steady. In the morning, she worked at the shop. In the evening, she worked on the container. She brought a small radio and played quiet music while she cleaned and measured. She wrote numbers in a notebook and drew simple plans. She taped those plans to the wall so she could see them while she worked. Maya did not talk much about her plan. She did not explain it to the people who teased her. She had learned that some people only listened so they could find a new way to doubt. Instead, she let her work speak. After 1 week, the inside looked different. It was still rough, but it was clean. The floor was visible. The walls were scraped and ready for repairs. She patched holes and sealed gaps. She replaced the broken lock. She used a grinder to smooth sharp edges. One evening, a man from the tire shop finally walked over. His name was Sam. He did not look like he wanted trouble. He looked more curious than anything else. "What are you making in there?" Sam asked. Maya wiped her hands on a cloth. "A workshop," she said. Sam frowned like he did not fully believe it. "In a container?" Maya nodded. "It will be a good one." Sam glanced inside and then back at her. "People are talking," he said. Maya gave a small smile. "People always talk." Sam stood there for a moment, then shrugged. "Well, good luck," he said. His tone was not cruel. It was careful, like he did not know what to expect. Then he walked back across the street. Maya watched him go, then returned to her work. That night, she marked lines on the wall with chalk. She measured where the workbench would go. She planned where she would place storage shelves, lighting, and outlets. She planned where she could mount tools so they would always be within reach. She planned a small corner for building projects that did not fit under a car hood. To everyone else, the container was a rusty mistake. To Maya, it was becoming a promise she could touch. As she locked up for the night, she paused and looked at the container again. The outside still looked ugly, but she did not care. She knew what was coming next. She knew what she would build inside those walls. And soon, the laughter would change into silence. Maya woke up sore the next morning, but her mind felt clear. While the town slowly started its day, she sat at her small kitchen table with a cup of tea and her notebook open. The pages were filled with rough sketches and notes written in simple lines. She checked her list again and added new ideas in the empty spaces. Every plan had to fit the container exactly. There was no room for guessing. At the repair shop, the usual sounds filled the air. Engines started and stopped. Tools hit metal. Customers waited near the counter. Maya worked with focus, but her thoughts stayed with the container. She finished her tasks faster than usual and cleaned her area before anyone asked. When the clock finally allowed her to leave, she headed straight to the lot. The container waited in the fading light. It still looked rough from the outside, but inside it felt different now. It felt ready. That evening, Maya began with the floor. The old surface was uneven and weak in places. She measured each section carefully. She cut strong panels and laid them down piece by piece. She checked each edge and fastened them tight. The work was slow, but she took her time. She knew a strong base mattered more than speed. As she worked, a car slowed down near the fence. Two men from the auction stepped out. They leaned against the fence and watched her for a moment. One of them smiled in a way that did not feel friendly. "You are still at it," one of them said. "That thing must be fighting you." Maya kept working. "It is doing fine," she said without looking up. The other man laughed softly. "You could have bought real equipment for what you spent." Maya stood up and faced them. "This is real to me. The men looked at each other, shrugged, and walked away. Their laughter faded with the sound of their footsteps. Maya returned to her work. Her hands did not shake. She felt stronger than before. Over the next days, the container slowly changed. Maya installed insulation to control heat and noise. She sealed every corner and checked every wall. She added strong lighting to the ceiling, bright enough to remove shadows. When the lights came on for the first time, the inside no longer felt like a dark box. It felt like a real room. People across the street noticed the change. They saw light at night where there had been darkness before. They heard steady work instead of random noise. The jokes became quieter. One afternoon, Sam crossed the street again. This time, he brought a bottle of cold water. "You look like you could use this," he said, holding it out. Maya accepted it with a nod. "Thanks." Sam stepped closer and looked inside. His eyes moved from the floor to the walls, then to the lights above. "This is different," he said. "I did not expect it to look like this already." Maya smiled, but she did not boast. "It is getting there." Sam leaned on the doorframe. "What kind of work are you planning to do here?" "All kinds," Maya said. "Repair, building, testing. Things I cannot do at the shop." Sam nodded slowly. "People will notice." Maya shrugged. "That is fine." After Sam left, Maya continued working late into the night. She installed metal rails along the walls to hold tools. Each one had a purpose and a place. She hated wasting time searching for things. Order helped her think. Money was always tight. When she needed parts, she looked for old materials that could be reused. She cleaned and reshaped them. She turned worn steel into strong brackets. She fixed a broken table and turned it into a heavy workbench. Each small success pushed her forward. At the repair shop, people started asking questions. They noticed Maya leaving earlier and returning later. One coworker joked that she had a secret project. Another asked if she was planning to quit. Maya answered calmly, "Not yet." Her boss watched her more closely. One evening, he pulled her aside. "You are doing good work here," he said. "Do not burn yourself out." Maya nodded. "I know my limits." But the truth was, she was tired. Some nights, her hands ached so much that sleep came slowly. Some mornings, she questioned how long she could keep going like this. When doubt crept in, she returned to the container and stood inside. The smell of clean metal and the hum of the lights reminded her why she started. One rainy evening, the town lost power. Streets went dark. Shops closed early. Maya sat in her car near the lot, watching the rain hit the windshield. She thought about going home. Then she remembered the small generator she had repaired weeks earlier. She carried it into the container and started it. The lights came on, steady and bright. The rain tapped on the metal roof, but inside it felt safe and alive. Maya worked through the storm, installing shelves and organizing tools. From across the street, someone watched the light glowing in the rain. The sight stayed with them. By the end of the second week, the container no longer felt like a project. It felt like a place with purpose. The walls held tools. The floor was solid. The lights were strong. There was order where there had been chaos. One morning, Maya unlocked the container and stood still. For the first time, she felt a shift inside her chest. Not pride, not relief, but confidence. Quiet and steady. She was no longer proving anything to anyone else. She was building something that matched her skill and patience. And soon, others would begin to see that this rusty container was turning into something they never expected. The third week began with a surprise. When Maya arrived at the lot early in the morning, she saw tire marks in the dirt near the container. At first, she felt a small rush of worry. Then she noticed a box sitting near the door. It was sealed and clean. A note was taped on top. It simply said, "Spare bolts and brackets. Thought you could use them." Maya looked around, but the street was quiet. She carried the box inside and opened it. The parts were sorted and labeled. Whoever left them understood tools. She smiled softly and placed the box on her workbench. It felt like the first quiet sign that someone believed in what she was doing. That day, Maya focused on power and control. She installed outlets along the walls, carefully spacing them where machines would sit. She tested each one twice. She ran cables neatly so nothing hung loose. Safety mattered to her. She had seen too many accidents caused by rushed work. In the afternoon, a delivery truck arrived with steel sheets she had ordered. The driver helped unload them. He glanced inside the container and raised his eyebrows. "Nice setup," he said. Maya thanked him. The words stayed with her longer than she expected. As days passed, more people began stopping by. Some were curious. Some needed small repairs. A man brought a broken generator. A woman asked if Maya could fix a bent metal frame for her shop sign. Maya listened, looked, and gave honest answers. If she could help, she did. If she could not, she said so. Slowly, her container became known as a place where work got done right. One afternoon, Sam returned again, this time with another man. The man was older, with careful eyes and quiet hands. Sam introduced him as Leo, a retired builder. Leo walked around the container slowly. He tapped the walls, checked the floor, and studied the layout. Maya waited without speaking. She knew that real respect came from silence and attention. "This is solid work," Leo said at last. "You planned this." Maya nodded. "Every inch." Leo smiled. "Most people rush. You did not." Before leaving, Leo handed her a small notebook. "I kept notes for years," he said. "Maybe they help you." Maya accepted it with care. That night, she read through the notebook at home. It was full of simple ideas and lessons learned the hard way. She added her own notes in the empty spaces. The book became a bridge between experience and effort. Work at the repair shop grew tense. Customers asked for Maya by name. Some asked if she could work on projects outside the shop. Her boss noticed. One evening, he called her into the office. "I hear you are building something," he said. Maya met his eyes. "I am." He leaned back in his chair. "You planning to leave?" Maya paused. "I am planning to grow." The boss nodded slowly. "Just do not forget where you started." "I will not," Maya said. That night, Maya stayed late at the container. She mounted a heavy press she had rebuilt from scrap. She tested it again and again. The machine worked smoothly, quiet and strong. She stepped back and looked around. The container was now filled with tools, but it did not feel crowded. It felt balanced. Outside, a small group had gathered near the fence. They watched quietly as sparks flew inside. No one laughed now. No one joked. A young boy stood at the front, holding a bicycle wheel with a bent rim. He hesitated, then walked closer. "Can you fix this?" he asked. Maya knelt to his level and examined the wheel. "Yes," she said. "It will take a little time." The boy smiled wide. He sat on the curb and waited. Maya worked carefully, straightening the rim and checking the balance. When she handed it back, the boy spun the wheel and laughed with joy. He rode off, calling thanks over his shoulder. The sound of that laughter felt different. It felt earned. As weeks passed, Maya's days grew fuller. She balanced her job and the container with care. She slept when she could. She ate simple meals. She kept going. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Maya stood outside the container and watched the light reflect off the metal. The rust was still there, but it no longer defined the place. The container stood strong, proud in its own quiet way. Across the street, Sam leaned against the fence. "People are talking again," he said. Maya smiled. "Let me guess. Different talk." Sam nodded. "They are wondering what you will build next." Maya looked back at the container. She thought about the ideas still in her notebook. She thought about the projects she had not yet started. Her hands felt ready. "They have not seen anything yet," she said. And for the first time, the words felt true in a way that made the future feel wide open. By the fourth week, the container no longer felt like an experiment. It felt like a working place with a steady rhythm. Maya arrived before sunrise on some days and stayed until the sky turned dark again. The sound of tools inside the container had become familiar to the street. It was no longer noise. It was work. Maya started receiving more requests than she expected. Some were small jobs. Some were unusual. A farmer brought a broken pump part that no shop wanted to touch. A shop owner asked for a custom metal stand that needed to fit a narrow space. Maya listened carefully to every request. She asked questions. She measured twice. She never rushed. People noticed this. One morning, a white van stopped near the lot. A man stepped out wearing a clean shirt and holding a clipboard. He introduced himself as Alan. He managed equipment for a local warehouse. "I heard you fix things others refuse," Alan said. Maya did not smile. She did not deny it. "I fix what I understand," she replied. Alan opened the back of the van and showed her a damaged machine arm. It was bent and worn. The warehouse had been told it needed replacement, which cost more than they could afford at the moment. Maya studied the metal closely. She ran her fingers along the bend. She tapped it gently and listened to the sound. "I can repair this," she said. "It will take 2 days." Alan looked surprised. "You are sure?" Maya nodded. "Yes." The repair took careful planning. Maya removed the damaged section, reshaped the metal, and reinforced it using a technique she had practiced many times but rarely used. She worked slowly and checked alignment at every step. When she finished, the arm moved smoothly and held weight without strain. Alan returned and tested it himself. His eyes widened. "This is better than before," he said. Maya simply wiped her hands and nodded. Word spread faster after that. The laughter from the auction felt like it belonged to a different time. People now spoke her name with respect. Some still doubted, but they no longer said it out loud. At the repair shop, tension grew. Maya's boss noticed the change in attention. Customers asked if she was available outside work hours. Some asked if she had her own place now. One afternoon, the boss called her into the office again. His voice was calm, but serious. "You are building something real," he said. "I can see that." Maya listened quietly. "I cannot hold you back," he continued. "But I need to know where you stand." Maya took a breath. "I still respect this place," she said. "But I need to move forward." The boss nodded. "Finish the month," he said. "Then we will talk again." Maya thanked him and returned to work. Her hands felt steady, but her heart beat faster. Change was coming closer than she planned. At the container, Maya began her biggest project yet. It was something she had imagined since the first day she stepped inside the rusty walls. She wanted to build a compact machine that could reshape damaged parts quickly without replacing them. Something efficient. Something affordable. She worked late into the nights, testing pieces and adjusting angles. Some attempts failed. Metal cracked. Parts did not align. Each failure taught her something new. She wrote notes and adjusted her design. One night, frustration hit hard. A piece she had worked on for hours did not hold under pressure. Maya sat down on the floor and rested her back against the wall. Sweat ran down her face. Her hands trembled from effort. For the first time, doubt spoke loudly in her mind. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly. She remembered the laughter at the auction. She remembered the empty container. She remembered why she started. Maya stood up and tried again. The next attempt worked. The machine came together over several days. When it was finished, it stood firm and quiet, its parts moving in perfect rhythm. Maya tested it again and again. Each time, it performed exactly as she hoped. On a bright afternoon, she invited a few people who had supported her. Sam came. Leo came. Alan came. Even her boss from the repair shop came, standing near the back with his arms crossed. Maya did not give a long speech. She explained the machine simply. She showed them how it worked. She repaired a damaged metal piece in front of them, something that normally required full replacement. Silence filled the container. Leo broke it first. "You built this here," he said softly. Maya nodded. Alan shook his head in disbelief. "This could save us a lot of money," he said. Her boss looked around the container slowly. He saw the organization, the tools, the careful planning. He exhaled and gave a small smile. "You outgrew my shop," he said. No one laughed. No one doubted. The rusty container had become something else entirely. That evening, after everyone left, Maya stood alone inside. The lights hummed softly. The machine stood ready. The walls held the marks of hard work and patience. Outside, the container still looked worn and rough. Inside, it held something strong and alive. Maya locked the door and placed her hand on the metal wall one more time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Bigger ones. But she was ready. And the final proof was yet to come. The morning after the demonstration felt different. Maya woke up before her alarm, not from worry, but from a sense of calm she had not felt in years. Sunlight filled her small room, and for once, her body did not feel heavy. She dressed, packed her tools, and drove to the lot as the town slowly came alive. When she unlocked the container, she paused at the door. Inside stood the machine she had built with her own hands. It was not shiny or perfect, but it was strong and honest. It did exactly what she designed it to do. She ran a quick check, listening to the steady sound of moving parts. Everything worked. Before noon, Alan returned with paperwork. He offered a contract for regular repair work for the warehouse. It was fair and steady. Maya read it carefully and asked questions. Alan respected that. When she signed, it felt like more than a business deal. It felt like a door opening. Later that day, Leo stopped by again. He walked around the container slowly, smiling to himself. "You built more than a machine," he said. "You built trust." Maya nodded. "That matters to me." By the end of the week, Maya made her decision. She finished her final days at the repair shop with care and respect. On her last evening, her boss shook her hand firmly. "You did this the right way," he said. "If anyone asks, I will tell them that." Maya thanked him. She walked out of the shop feeling proud, not because she was leaving, but because she was ready. The container became busier. People brought projects from nearby towns. Some came with doubt in their eyes. Most left with quiet smiles. Maya hired a helper part-time, a young woman named Nina who was eager to learn. Maya taught her patiently, explaining not just how to do things, but why they mattered. One afternoon, the same auction site held another sale. Maya did not attend, but she heard about it later. People spoke about her container while standing near the machines. They told the story of the day she raised her hand and everyone laughed. The story sounded different now. Months passed. The rust on the outside of the container remained, but Maya decided to keep it that way. It reminded her of where things began. Inside, the space was clean, bright, and alive with purpose. The machine she built became the center of her work. It helped small businesses survive and saved people money they could not afford to lose. One quiet evening, after closing up, Maya sat on a small stool inside the container. She listened to the soft hum of the lights. She thought about the laughter at the auction. She thought about the long nights and sore hands. She thought about the moment doubt nearly stopped her. She smiled. Across the street, Sam locked up his shop and waved. "Still hard at work," he said. Maya waved back. "Always." As the sun dipped low, its light reflected off the metal walls. The container stood strong against the fading sky. It was no longer just a rusty box. It was proof that vision and patience could change how people saw the world. Maya turned off the lights and locked the door. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new ideas, and new chances to build. But tonight, she walked away knowing that the laughter had turned into silence, and the silence had turned into respect. What she built left them speechless.